Hey guys, welcome to Pajama Let's Play. I'm Michelle, host of Pajama Let's Play, where we talk all things Kingdom Hearts. Today I'm going to talk about the questions I expect to be answered in Dark Road, and some mini theories I have that aren't fleshed out enough to make individual videos about. But before I get into that, make sure to like, share, subscribe, and ring the bell. You can follow me on Twitch, check out my Patreon, or leave a tip via the PayPal link. All of those things are in the description box down below. We're going to be talking about Dark Road, so there will be some spoilers. With Dark Road coming this winter, I figure it's a good time to do a recap of some theories I already addressed and what I expect to happen in the release. Let's start with the plot points that I think are obvious. First, I expect the Upperclassmen to be named and identified. I've made a video about this already, linked here, but since the vast majority of Dark Road characters are named after Norse gods, I expect the remaining characters to also be named after Norse gods. I'm going to use the American pronunciation of those names because I suspect that's how they'll be spelled, but it also helps me differentiate between video game characters and the actual gods. Norse pronunciation is very different from the American versions of their names. Odin, who in Norse mythology is the father of Baldur and Bragi, verifies for me that the characters follow a patriarchal order that aligns with the religion. For Baldur to be mentioned means Loki and Hod will be included at some point, because according to the religious texts of Norse paganism, the Eddas, Loki tricked Hod into killing Baldur, his own brother, so you can't have one without the other two. It's the whole reason Loki got put into a cave under Midgard, Earth, with acid or snake poison, depending on the interpretation, dropping onto his chest. Baldur is the most beloved of the Norse gods, so the trickery needed to be punished in kind. With that said, I believe the Master of Masters is Loki, not from the MCU, but from the actual Norse pantheon, because they are very different entities. Feel free to check out the video linked here, with all of my thoughts and evidence for that theory. However, I'm not convinced that he will be revealed until Kingdom Hearts 4 at least, maybe even later than that. Second, we're going to learn about those gravestones. Who do they belong to? What happened to them? Personally, I think Xehanort and Ericus effed around and found out, and their classmates suffered the consequences. But I have no evidence for that right now. Third, I expect to find out how the sentient darkness entities escape from the Datascape and make their way into Sora's time in reality. I have no idea how that's going to go down, but I do expect to have that answered. Fourth, I expect to see Xehanort meeting the Master of Masters for the very first time. In Kingdom Hearts 3, we saw a young Xehanort interacting with the Master of Masters before taking his Mark of Mastery exam. Since that exam is a major plot point for Dark Road, we'll likely see how these two met and developed a relationship. We will likely also see Xehanort learning about darkness, the key, blade, and the other things that Birth by Sleep Xehanort knew, but hasn't been learned in Dark Road yet. Fifth, I also expect to get some answers from Union Cross, specifically the person in the blue cloak that took in Xehanort as a baby. Who was that person? Why were they charged with raising Xehanort? I think those things will be answered in Dark Road. I also think we'll find out for sure about the fate of Skuld, and maybe even settle the question of if she's Subject X. As y'all know, I don't believe that to be the case, and if I'm right, it'll probably be ruled out in Dark Road. Or we won't get any definitive answers on that, and I'll be more inclined to jump on the bandwagon, because the only reason to keep that secret is for a rather large reveal later on in the series. I don't think we'll see Subject X at all, but I think we'll be able to rule out some characters based on the events of Dark Road. For example, if Skuld grows up in Dark Road, we can rule her out as Subject X. If we get eyes on Ava, we can rule her out too. The final obvious plot point for me is finding out what happened to Ericus' grandfather. Was that Brain, or Luciu for that matter? Was it someone else? If we don't find out what happened there, then it means we'll probably be getting another game, probably also mobile, to answer those questions. In that case, it would likely also tell Odin's story as their teacher. The next one isn't so much obvious, but I think we can still expect it. I believe we will see Luciu taking another vessel to become Breg. I don't think Breg is the combination of Luciu and Brain, but rather another character combination. I suspect this character will have a similar happy outcome as Brain and will be provided a way to continue his natural life while still allowing Lucio to keep the vessel. Now for the two things I don't think anyone's talking about, but perhaps they are and I'm just out of the loop. I believe we will see two bequeathments, No Name / the Gazing Eye from Odin to Xehanort, and the Land of Departure from Odin to Ericus. They may not seem like a big deal right now, but I suspect the circumstances of the bequeathment will be because of a crisis situation, just like in Union Cross. Either way, we know Xehanort will receive the No Name / Gazing Eye, and we know Ericus inherits the Land of Departure. And it makes sense to me both in... Yes, honey. Yes, honey. And we know Ericus inherits the Land of Departure, so it makes sense to me that we would see both in the final episode of Dark Road. So those are my general predictions / expectations for Dark Road. If you want me to expand on any of those, let me know in the comments, and I'll flesh them out and make a separate video. But what do you think? What do you expect to see in Dark Road? Do you want me to expand on any of the thoughts from this video? Tell me all about your thoughts in the comments down below. Also, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, ring the bell. You can follow me on Twitch, check out my Patreon, or you can leave a tip via PayPal. All of those things are in the description box down below. Until next time.